Episode 42. Harry looked around. He had been expecting this, but that did not make the sight of Draco Malfoy smirking at him from between his cronies Crabbe and Goyle any more enjoyable. "What?" he said aggressively before Malfoy could open his mouth. "Manners, Potter, or I'll have to give you a detention," drawled Malfoy, whose sleek blonde hair and pointed chin were just like his father's. "You see, I, unlike you, have been made a prefect, which means that I, unlike you, have the power to hand out punishments." "Yeah," said Harry, "but you, unlike me, are a git, so get out and leave us alone." Ron, Hermione, Ginny, and Neville laughed. Malfoy's lip curled. "Tell me, how does it feel being second best to Weasley, Potter?" he asked.
"Shut up, Malfoy,"
said Hermione sharply. "I seem to have touched a nerve," said Malfoy, smirking. "Well, just watch yourself, Potter, because I'll be dogging your footsteps in case you step out of line."
"Get out,"
said Hermione, standing up. Snickering, Malfoy gave Harry a last malicious look and departed, Crabbe and Goyle lumbering in his wake. Hermione slammed the compartment door behind them and turned to look at Harry, who knew at once that she, like him, had registered what Malfoy had said and been just as unnerved by it. "Chuck us another frog," said Ron, who had clearly noticed nothing. Harry could not talk freely in front of Neville and Luna. He exchanged another nervous look with Hermione and then stared out of the window. He had thought Sirius coming with him to the station was a bit of a laugh, but suddenly it seemed reckless, if not downright dangerous. Hermione had been right. Sirius should not have come. What if Mr. Malfoy had noticed the black dog and told Draco? What if he had deduced that the Weasleys, Lupin, Tonks, and Moody knew where Sirius was hiding? Or had Malfoy's use of the word dogging been a coincidence? The weather remained undecided as they traveled farther and farther north. Rain spattered the windows in a half-hearted way. Then the sun put in a feeble appearance before clouds drifted over it once more. When darkness fell and lamps came on inside the carriages, Luna rolled up the quibbler, put it carefully away in her bag, and took to staring at everyone in the compartment instead. Harry was sitting with his forehead pressed against the train window, trying to get a first distant glimpse of Hogwarts. But it was a moonless night, and the rain-streaked window was grimy.
"We'd better change,"
said Hermione at last. She and Ron pinned their prefect badges carefully to their chests. Harry saw Ron checking how it looked in the black window. At last, the train began to slow down, and they heard the usual racket up and down it as everybody scrambled to get their luggage and pets assembled, ready for departure. Ron and Hermione were supposed to supervise all this. They disappeared from the carriage again, leaving Harry and the others to look after Crookshanks and Pigwidgeon.
"I'll carry that owl if you like,"
said Luna to Harry, reaching out for Pigwidgeon as Neville stowed Trevor carefully in an inside pocket. "Oh, thanks," said Harry, handing her the cage and hoisting Hedwig's more securely into his arms. They shuffled out of the compartment, feeling the first sting of the night air on their faces as they joined the crowd in the corridor. Slowly they moved toward the doors. Harry could smell the pine trees that lined the path down to the lake. He stepped down onto the platform and looked around, listening for the familiar call of "First years over here! First years!" But it did not come. Instead, A quite different voice, a brisk female one, was calling,
"First years, line up over here, please. All first years to me."
A lantern came swinging toward Harry, and by its light he saw the prominent chin and severe haircut of Professor Grubbly Plank, the witch who had taken over Hagrid's care of magical creatures lessons for a while the previous years. "Where's Hagrid?" he said out loud.
"I don't know," said Ginny, "but we'd better get out of the way. We're blocking the door."
"Oh, yeah." Harry and Ginny became separated as they moved off along the platform and out through the station. Jostled by the crowd, Harry squinted through the darkness for a glimpse of Hagrid. He had to be here. Harry had been relying on it. Seeing Hagrid again had been one of the things to which he had been looking forward most. But there was no sign of him at all. He can't have left, Harry told himself as he shuffled slowly through a narrow doorway onto the road outside with the rest of the crowd. He's just got a cold or something. He looked round for Ron or Hermione, wanting to know what they thought about the reappearance of Professor Grubbly Plank, but neither of them was anywhere near him. So he allowed himself to be shunted forward onto the dark, rain-washed road outside Hogsmeade Station. Here stood the 100 or so horseless stagecoaches that always took the students above first year up to the castle. Harry glanced quickly at them, turned away to keep a lookout for Ron and Hermione, and then did a double-take. The coaches were no longer horseless. There were creatures standing between the carriage shafts. If he had to give them a name, he supposed he would have called them horses, though there was something reptilian about them, too. They were completely fleshless, their black coats clinging to their skeletons, of which every bone was visible. Their heads were dragonish, and their pupilless eyes white and staring. Wings sprouted from each wither, vast, black, leathery wings that looked as though they ought to belong to giant bats. Standing still and quiet in the gloom, the creatures looked eerie and sinister. Harry could not understand why the coaches were being pulled by these horrible horses when they were quite capable of moving along by themselves. "Where's Pig?" said Ron's voice right behind Harry. That Luna girl was carrying him," said Harry, turning quickly, eager to consult Ron about Hagrid. "Where do you reckon Hagrid is?" "I don't know," said Ron, sounding worried. "He better be okay." A short distance away, Draco Malfoy, followed by a small gang of cronies, including Crabbe, Goyle, and Pansy Parkinson, was pushing some timid-looking second-years out of the way so they could get a coach to themselves. Seconds later, Hermione emerged panting from the crowd.
"Malfoy was being absolutely foul to a first year back there. I swear I'm going to report him. He's only had his badge 3 minutes, and he's using it to bully people worse than ever. Where's Crookshanks?"
"Ginny's got him," said Harry. "There she is." Ginny had just emerged from the crowd, clutching a squirming Crookshanks.
"Thanks," said Hermione,
relieving Ginny of the cat.
"Come on, let's get a carriage together before they all fill up."
"I haven't got Pig yet," Ron said, but Hermione was already heading off toward the nearest unoccupied coach. Harry remained behind with Ron. "What are those things, do you reckon?" he asked Ron, nodding at the horrible horses as the other students surged past them. "What things?" "Those Luna appeared, holding Pigwidgeon's cage in her arms. The tiny owl was twittering excitedly as usual.
"Here you are," she said. "He's a sweet little owl, isn't he?"
Yeah, he's all right," said Ron gruffly. "Well, come on then, let's get in. What were you saying, Harry?" "I was saying, what are those horse things?" Harry said, as he, Ron, and Luna made for the carriage in which Hermione and Ginny were already sitting. "What horse things?" "The horse things pulling the carriages," said Harry impatiently.